language, all kinds of stuff, right? And we've talked about real problems. How do you raise money? What kind of money do you raise? Is it debt? Is it equity? Okay. How do you use these flexons? Okay? As a manager, as an entrepreneur, as a consultant, how do you use them? I want to give you something that resembles an algorithm. It's not an algorithm. It's a protocol. An algorithm is something a lot more precise. It's a protocol. And this protocol has 5 steps. And I think these 5 steps are fairly self-evident in our discussions today. The first step is to specify. Okay? So you have a set of variables in the flexon. You have decision rights, you have incentives, you have specific knowledge. Okay? You might have things additionally here like performance measures, which we haven't talked a lot about, but obviously you need some way of monitoring. They're closely associated with decision monitoring rights. Okay? And you have, let's say, financing levers. So what is your relative levering of the company on a project-by-project basis? So you specify the variables that are going to be relevant to your problem statement. What are all of the variables? What are all the components of the solution search space? Remember when we talked about the specialty coffee idea. You can have different milks, you can have different cups, you can have different coffees, you can have different temperatures. Right, you specify. And you say, this is that, this is that, this is that. That's the exercise. It's pure specification. You also specify some kind of an objective function. And the objective function in this case, you have 3 of them. Right? You have the collocation principles that basically tell you that you want to maximize the effectiveness of the decision by aligning specific knowledge with decision rights. You want to minimize coordination communication costs. You want to minimize agency costs. Perfect. Okay? Ideally, you want to do all 3. You can choose to focus on any one of them. Remember that doing one small thing really well in these settings is going to take you a lot further than trying to do a whole bunch of things and doing all of them for you. So you just take decision right reallocation very, very seriously for 2 decisions and 3 people, okay, whose decisions matter to one another. You can make a huge amount of progress in gaining efficiency, right? The second thing that you do is you estimate. You estimate the relationships between all of these different variables, and you estimate where possible the variables. So for instance, you estimate who has the decision rights, who has the specific knowledge, and what incentives do people have. Estimate it. By the way, estimate in many cases, people ask me, how do you estimate? I don't know. Sometimes I just guess. That's why it's called a guesstimate. Right? I'm guessing. Sometimes the guess, and over time you will see that as you train yourself to guess, which means that you have to